Why do I keep ending up in the same kind of relationship? Toxic, draining, unpredictable. They come in different packages, sure, but underneath they're all the same damn person. At first it feels exciting, intense, familiar in that electric, can't stop thinking about them kind of way. But soon it shifts. You start walking on eggshells, second-guessing yourself, doubting your reality, feeling like you're the problem again. And once more you're left with the wreckage. Broken trust, emotional whiplash, and that haunting question, how the hell did I end up here again? Let me hit you with something heavy. It's not just them. It's not just bad luck. It's not even the universe trying to punish you. It's your unconscious, your shadow self, calling the shots behind the curtain. Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant minds in psychology, said it like this: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Read that again, because that one quote, that's the map to this entire pattern you keep reliving. Here's what's really happening. You're not just choosing people, you're reenacting something, replaying an emotional blueprint burned into your nervous system since childhood. People don't just fall into toxic relationships. They're pulled into them like gravity, because on some deep level, it feels familiar. And what's familiar feels safe, even if it's slowly killing you. Now that might sound bleak, but it's actually good news. Because if your unconscious is writing the script, you can rewrite it, but only if you're willing to go where most people never do, into the dark, into your shadow. So in this series, we're going there. We're unpacking the hidden layers, the psychology, the patterns, the science. And we're starting with the thing no one wants to admit. You attract what you haven't healed. Part 2. What is the shadow and how it hijacks your relationships? So let's talk about this thing Jung called the shadow. Not metaphorically, psychologically. The shadow is the part of you you don't want to see. The parts you repress, deny, disown. But they never go away, they just go underground. And from there, they quietly run your life, especially in love. Here's the psychology behind it. As a child, you're not born with shame. You learn it. You learn that certain emotions, needs, or traits aren't acceptable, so you bury them. You're too emotional? Hide it. Too angry? Suppress it. Too needy? Shut it down. Too confident? Be humble. Over time, your identity splits. One version becomes your persona, the mask you wear to be liked, accepted, and safe. The other becomes the shadow, the pieces you've exiled. But here's the twist. Those exiled parts, they don't die. They go silent. And then they start showing up in other people. Ever met someone who triggers you instantly? Someone who activates you in ways that don't make sense? That's your shadow projected outward. You don't see your own unconscious. You feel it through chemistry, through emotional charge, through obsession or disgust. Your shadow draws you to certain people, not because they're good for you, but because they mirror back the parts of you you haven't integrated. You'll chase people who reflect your unhealed wounds. You'll tolerate behavior that matches the pain you internalized. You'll even sabotage healthy love because it feels unfamiliar. This isn't just philosophy, it's neuroscience. Your brain is wired for what's familiar, even if that means repeating cycles that hurt, even if it means calling dysfunction love, because that's what love felt like early on. So when you ask, why do I keep attracting toxic people? The answer isn't out there. It's in you, in the shadow you've refused to face. But here's the turning point. The moment you stop saying, why does this keep happening to me? And start asking, what is this showing me about myself? That's when everything starts to shift. The toxic person becomes a mirror. The pain becomes a portal. And the shadow becomes your greatest teacher. Part 3, the origin. How childhood creates your attraction to toxic love. Let's get one thing straight. You're not broken. You're conditioned. And that conditioning, it starts way earlier than most people realize. See, the roots of your toxic relationship patterns aren't in adulthood. They're in childhood. Let's break this down. As a child, your brain is like wet cement. Every experience, every emotional interaction leaves an imprint. And the people who imprint you the most, your primary caregivers. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. If love came with conditions, if affection was inconsistent, if you were praised for being good but punished for being real, your nervous system adapted. You learned to regulate your safety, not through connection, but through survival. You might have become the pleaser, the fixer, the emotional caretaker, or the quiet one who never caused trouble. You learned that love meant earning it, that closeness meant discomfort, that affection could turn into withdrawal at any second. Fast forward to adulthood, and this is what happens. You don't look for love. You look for what's familiar. The hot and cold partner feels like home. The person who keeps you guessing feels like connection. The one who pulls away when you get close activates that old wound and your need to fix it. Not because you enjoy the pain, but because your nervous system thinks that is love. It's not about logic, it's about wiring. And your wiring is rooted in attachment patterns, the psychological framework that defines how you connect, attach, and react in relationships. There's science behind this. Psychologists call them attachment styles: secure, anxious, avoidant, disorganized. And if you grew up in chaos, neglect, emotional inconsistency, or subtle invalidation, you probably didn't land in the secure category. Which means this: you didn't choose toxic love. It chose you because your system is trained to respond to it. But that doesn't mean you're stuck, because what was once programmed can be reprogrammed. And the first step, recognizing that your attraction isn't truth. It's trauma, repeating itself until it gets your attention. Part 4, how the shadow shows up and sabotages your love life. Let's talk about how the shadow actually shows up in real life. Not in theory, not in abstract psychology, but in your texts, your triggers, your choices. You want to know why it's so hard to spot? Because your shadow doesn't look like a monster. It looks like your type, the one you're obsessed with, the one who feels magnetic, the one who triggers your insecurities, and somehow makes you chase harder. That's not soulmate energy. That's unhealed attachment wounding in disguise. Let me give you some brutal real-life examples. You constantly attract emotionally unavailable people. Shadow says, you're terrified of vulnerability yourself. So you pick people who can't go deep to avoid facing your own fear of intimacy. You always end up in controlling relationships. Shadow says, you've disowned your own need for control, so you let others dominate while pretending you're easygoing. You keep dating people who need fixing. Shadow says, you're avoiding your own healing, so you make other people your project because it feels easier than looking at yourself. The shadow doesn't lie. It just hides in your patterns, in your preferences, in your pain. And here's the kicker. Sometimes the shadow doesn't show up as toxicity. It shows up as resistance to healthy love. Ever met someone kind, consistent, emotionally safe and felt bored, turned off, not feeling the spark? Or that's not intuition. That's your nervous system rejecting peace, because chaos feels more familiar. And that's the trap. Your shadow convinces you that pain is passion, that drama is depth, that being triggered is love. It isn't. It's your subconscious playing out an old story again and again until you recognize it. So what do? You start watching for patterns, not people. You ask, what do my past 3 relationships have in common? And more importantly, what do they reflect back about me? Because if the same kind of person keeps showing up, the common denominator is you. But not in a blame yourself kind of way, in a take your power back kind of way. Because the second you see the shadow for what it is, it loses control. Part 5. Breaking the cycle, integrating your shadow, and choosing something new. All right, you've seen the pattern. You've met your shadow. You've looked at the pain, not just theirs, but yours. Now what? Now you break the cycle. But listen closely. This isn't about cutting people off and pretending you're healed. It's not about posting self-love quotes while still craving chaos in secret. This is deep work, and it starts with one word: integration. Carl Jung didn't say, kill the shadow. He said integrate it. Because the parts of you you buried, they're not your enemy. They're your exile power. Your anger might be your boundary, your neediness, your capacity to feel, your control issues, a desire for safety, your fear of abandonment, a longing to be deeply seen. When you stop projecting these parts, when you bring light to what's been in the dark, you reclaim your wholeness. And here's the shift that happens. Suddenly, you're not attracted to emotional volatility anymore. It feels draining, not exciting. You stop tolerating crumbs because your self-worth doesn't need to earn love anymore. You stop chasing people because you stopped running from yourself. That's the power of integration. And no, it's not instant. It's not a three-step hack. It's messy, uncomfortable, slow. But it's also the most liberating thing you will ever do. So where do you start? 1. Radical self-honesty. Name your patterns without judgment, without a story, just the facts. 2. Shadow journaling. Ask, what traits in others trigger me the most? What am I afraid people might find out about me? What emotions do I judge in myself? That's where your shadow lives. 3. Nervous system work. Your body needs to learn that calm, safe, and boring is not a threat. That's how you rewire your attraction blueprint. 4. Reparenting. Speak to the parts of you that were abandoned. Give yourself what you never received. Not once, but every single day. And finally, 5. Choose different. Not the kind of different that looks safe but feels the same. The kind of different that makes your system twitch because it's not chaos. That's when you know you're healing. So to the part of you that still wonders, will I ever have a healthy relationship? Yes, but only after you stop seeking love to fix your wounds and start becoming the person who no longer creates them. This is the work. Not pretty, not fast, but real. And when you do it truly, you don't just stop attracting toxic love. You stop being available for it. Forever? End the pattern. Face the shadow. Choose peace over pattern. Because love should feel safe, and so should you.